Hey guys, I'm sure you're wondering why I called you all here. I saw Jake's vlog the other day about how he met his wife, and it made me want to tell the story of how I met my wife. When you guys are watching this, I'm actually going to be on vacation. It's currently our 5-year anniversary coming up on the 21st, so tomorrow. So for me, I'm filming some things before I leave, that way you guys still have stuff to see and I don't mess up on our challenge. So, let's see. So it was right around the time Jake met Miranda and started talking to her. But both Gila and I just kind of come out of a long relationship, and we were looking to kind of move on. I had a fling with somebody for a little while, but I really hadn't had anything serious for a few months, and she was coming out of something around October, November, and so it was January. We were getting ready to start back to school, and I was talking with Jake. At that point, he officially moved in. If you guys have watched our one of his vlogs about how we met. This was after he moved in, right before school started. We were just sitting there on our computers, and I came across this this joke, and it was like at a bar in Oklahoma. It was on one of those marquees, and it said, "Having sex after 20 beers is like playing pool with a rope." And I thought it was really funny, so I showed it to Jake. He thought it was funny, and he sent it to one of his friends, who actually was Gila, and Gila showed it to one of her friends, and her friend thought it was funny, and I started asking questions, and I found out more about Gila's friend, and turns out I wanted to meet her. So we talked for a little while, and it didn't really work out. It wasn't quite there. But so through that, I had started talking to Gila because I wanted to get this other girl flowers, but they lived like 2.5 hours away. I thought it'd be a nice thing to do for her birthday. Turns out she didn't really take it that way, but Gila really thought it was sweet, and so that was the first time we had talked. And so yes, Gila had dated Jake for a while. They had been friends for a while in high school, and then they dated for a while after that, until they both went to school. And so I kept talking to her, and we got to know each other just over text and things like that. They lived, like I said, about 2.5 hours away, so it wasn't like I could just pop in and see her. So obviously it's a little taboo, right? Because it was my best friend's girl, and so I made sure that I was upfront about it. And there was one weekend that I was traveling, and I was leading worship at a church in Iowa that I was kind of interviewing at for a job, or for an internship in the summer. And I'd been texting her, and I had been trying to kind of keep it away from him for now, just until I had more information. And he's kind of he subconsciously just looked up, the screen came on, so he looked over and he read it, and I knew he read it, and so he knew that I was texting her, and I could see it on his face. And so so I stopped what I was doing, and I talked to him, and I said, "Look, we started talking, and we haven't really stopped. We get along really well. If it's weird for you, just let me know, and I'll say the word. It's not really that important. It's not really that big a deal to me yet. I was pretty new." And he's like, "No, it's fine. Don't even worry about it." I said, "Okay." So we kept on talking, and right around Super Bowl Sunday, we had still been talking, and we decided that I wanted to go down and meet her. She had a track meet coming up there in February, and it seemed like a good time to go down there. I had a free weekend, and so I ran it by Jake. I said, "Hey Jake, are you okay with this?" And I was like, "If you're not, don't worry about it. I'll call it off. I won't talk to her again. We'll just be done with it." He said, "No, it's fine." Now, was he fine? Probably not, but that's neither here nor there. So he gave me his blessing. I went down, and we started talking and went out on a date. The first date I took her to was Pizza Hut, and she back then they were doing the stuffed crust, but they had meat in the crust, so they had basically it was a meat lover's pizza in the crust, and then you had your regular pizza. It was amazing. And so we got there, and before we even opened the menus, she was like, "James, can we have the stuffed crust with the loaded meat?" And I was like, yes we can. And so then I knew. We hung out all weekend, and she actually came up to Iowa with me I had to play again the next weekend, and so she rode up there with me. We traveled through. She lived in Kansas, so Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Iowa. It was a long day, and then I drove her back and dropped her off, and then headed back to Omaha, and that was almost it. So we had decided then that we wanted to start dating, but I wanted to run it by Jake first, and so I got back, and Jake was like, "Yeah, it's fine," and then we made it official. And then a few days later, I found out that the weekend that I was gone was his big push for Miranda, and that's how they got together. So it worked out really well. It was very awkward at first. There's just things you would talk to your best friend about in a relationship that we couldn't really talk about at first or ever. But he was there every step of the way, and he was super supportive, even if he didn't want to be. Even when she came up to visit, he was supportive, just in a more distant role. I think if he hadn't found Miranda at the time he did, I think it'd be a different story. But it worked out. We both got married. We got married about a month apart. I got engaged. Let's see, we started dating in February. We got engaged October that year, and we're married in July the next year, July 21st, 2012. So like I said, 5 years coming up tomorrow. Should be pretty exciting. So that's the story. I don't get to tell a lot of people that. A lot of people just know that it was my best friend's girlfriend or ex-girlfriend. So that's always a fun one to tell and to hear people talk about. He was the best man at my wedding, so he was definitely there for it. We've since gone on plenty of double dates and do stuff together all the time now, as you guys have seen. Our wives are good friends and they hang out occasionally. So it's life. That's how it is. So I know my story is a little bit different than most people's, but I like telling it. It's a fun story, and so I'll probably tell some more stories about the wedding and stories about when we first started dating and kind of the awkward things you come up with. But how did you guys meet your spouse? Or what do you think of my story? Do you think it's ridiculous? Think I crossed the line? I've definitely heard it all. So let me know your thoughts, and wish us well if you'd love on our anniversary. I'll be out and about. I won't be on our social media, but if you guys want, Jake will be running it. So he may say something about it. But yeah, we're just really excited. 5 years, have a kid, have 2 dogs. Pretty exciting life, right? I just need one more and then the picket fence, and I'm good, right? That's the goal. Thanks for hanging out, guys. We'll see you next time.